Welcome everybody to our How to Repair Pendulum Clocks live stream, and not quite sure as always whether the technology is working. We appear to be there. Don't know if we've got any sound or not. I suppose what I could do is turn the sound up, and not quite sure. Yep, sounds like it's working. So oh, there we've got a visitor, Andrew, brilliant, and Jeremy. So welcome everybody. Today is Ask a Conservator Day, hence I've got my lab coat back on again. Pretending to be a conservator, pretending. So please ask a conservator a question. Matthew, how did you get started in clock repair? What's the difference between a conservator and a clock restorer? What kind of tools do you need? Where do you do training? And all those kinds of things. Hi, Ian. Good evening. So welcome anybody new, and welcome long-standing sufferers of this channel. Thank you for joining us. We've got this project which has gone on for half the life of the universe so far, just trying to repair this bezel. So I'm, hi Sam, hello, hello, hello. Trying to get a move on with it. So what we've got here, just a quick recap, is we've got a bezel from an American clock, 1900, so 120 years old. And the hinge or joint, if you prefer to call it that, has been repaired at least once before. And we were left with a couple of rivet holes, which I'm probably not going to use, and a bit of material that we removed last week, which isn't particularly, a bit of sort of soft solder and brass, and the little hinge, which has probably got nothing to do with the clock, but I think we can use this hinge. It's reasonably sort of tight in the joint, so no reason why not. The first thing with the hinge is, though, that it's actually kind of assembled incorrectly for, hi Del, winter's coming, winter is coming. Kind of looking forward to it really in a way, but yeah, it is. So, and you know what's going to happen in winter? We're going to make more YouTube videos, in theory, once the actual paid work slackens off a bit. Anyway, so this hinge doesn't work because it's the hinge is on the wrong, well, half of it's on the wrong side. It's symmetrical, as you, well, not symmetrical, what's the word? Anyway, both the flat bits from this side. I want one flat bit on this side to solder the bezel to, and the other flat bit on this side. So I've got a theory, and you know what happened to theories. If we knock out the pin, tool avalanche already. If we knock out the pin, we can flip it round. Right, okay, so let's just have a little go at this. Got my gloves on as well for handling the bezel, maybe not necessary for this actual operation. So yeah, let's have a look. We need some blued pivot steel. BPS, as we call it, for in a rush. That it might do it. Let's have a look. Yeah, that's about right. It's actually normally best to shorten the steel. It's kind of bends a lot when it's in a long length like this, but I don't think the little rivet pin will be that tight. Let's have a little look. Hammer, hammer, hammer. I've got my White House watchmaker's hammer. quite, but it's, there we go. Looks like it's coming out. Just encourage it with a, actually I'll just encourage it with a bit of steel. That bit's a little bit too thick. So as always, busy old time in our funny little horological world. As I said, it's the Ask a Conservator day today. I've been working on site again, so I've not had much chance to follow it. There we go. Pin is out. So my theory is that if I flip this round like this, put the pin back. I don't know whether it's handed or anything. I saw Jeremy, I think on Twitter, was it? Jeremy has been making a new pin for a French clock bezel, which looked really smart. So well done, and thanks for letting us see that. So you see, that's what I wanted out of the thing. So that is actually quite encouraging, because now that flat bit, because the case, I won't get the case out again, but the case isn't cut away at all. And sorry, what does John's use for a vice? What does John use for a vice? Oh, it's a long story. Ian has tried to help out with this tussle. John said, John's my co-author for the book. John said when he saw the vice on the Open Clock Club, is that my vice? And it's like, no, it's not. And I don't know whether he was joking. I still don't know whether he was joking or not. So he kind of said that a few times. So I put that sticker on it because it's not his vice and he's not having it back. But I also, Ian very kindly sent us some other vices. So we're well shod on the vice front. Don't know what John uses. He's got his own vices. So that's how it's going to work. It's going to be, well, neat maybe isn't quite the answer. Thank you. Simple job and appreciate. Yeah, I mean, you say simple job, Jeremy, but actually I've seen that job done so badly so many times. So getting the old pin out without wrecking it and then making that kind of draw filed, tapered insert is a simple job when you know how, but I thought you did a neat job. So well done. Hi, Mark and Franklin from the Netherlands. So, right, that's the first thing done. We're quite happy with that little bit of progress. I mean, this hinge isn't ideal, but it saves trying to make one. And the beauty is it's just kind of cheap and the little knuckles are turned over. So when I solder the rest of it, it's not going to fall apart when I heat it up. So the next thing I want to do is to get the glass out. And I think Ian very kindly said he would have a dig about for one in case I break it, which I may well do. So I'm just going to take my gloves off so I don't set fire to my hands. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of blobs of soft solder in there that are holding the glass in via a little kind of, if you can see in there, wire thing. Presume that's how it was done originally, but maybe when I put it back, I'll just use Paraloid B72 or something. After all, it's Ask a Conservator Day. So please don't hold back on the Ask a Conservator questions, and I'll see if I can find one. So I think I'll get, just in case the glass does crack, I might put my glasses on, but I'm just going to use the same old method for removing the soft solder. I guess a very, very, very fine kind of focused torch might help, but I haven't got one. And my little creme brulee torch, which I love to hate, is packed in anyway. So I'm actually secretly really pleased it's packed in, so that can go in the recycling and wherever it goes. So I'm just going to use the old favorite, which is the spirit lamp. There we go. Cool. So we've got our spirit lamp, got our light, got our glasses, and most importantly, we have gotten our brush to brush the solder, which I've been soaking in some water, and it's on the lathe. That's not good. It's going to be rusty now. So the brush is a natural bristle brush. Obviously, you don't want to use a plastic bristle brush because it will melt. So I'm just going to heat up the solder, and then when it's molten, just brush it off. I think I did say last week I should probably get some, that electrical solder wick, which would be a really good idea. But of course, I haven't got any, so there you go. We'll have to do without. Just see how this goes. Hi from Jim. Hi Jim. And hi Paul from Salford. Good. We've got 2 people from Manchester. How cool is that? We changed our clocks. Sorry about that. I don't know why we do it still. It's crazy. Just leave them on British summertime. But there you go. Yes, we did. Hope that doesn't. Can't imagine this is going to work without breaking the glass, but there you go. Well, at least if the glass breaks, then I can just take it out. Although obviously somebody got it in there without breaking it. So they're starting to melt. So as soon as it does, little brush. And what I want is, I can maybe do that later actually. There's a piece here. Oops, you can't even see. There's a piece here that's kind of soldered in. But if we can just get the glass out, then we can deal with that in a bit. Because what I don't want to do is to too much adversely affect the kind of color of the bezel, because I don't want to, you know what I'm like. I don't want to try and change it, but inevitably this will. I suppose what I might do actually, once the majority of the solder's off, is to just work at this with a scalpel. You can see it. Oops, pink. Let me jump. That's good. Ping it went. But, yeah. It is changing the color of it, unfortunately. Anyway, I'll just press on. So I want to get this job done. It's been dragging on a long time. So just work on the next bit here and just heat it until well, you say that, Franklin, the glass will not break. But having had many instances of, I don't know, it's just one of those things, isn't it? I've really not got massive amount of confidence when it comes to glass. I'm super, oh, there you go, still a bit nervy. Ow. It's hot as well, weirdly. Maybe I should put on my gloves. Anti-soldering gloves. Well, they're downstairs, so maybe they'll have to wait. Yeah, you're right, Franklin. Maybe one of those big old-fashioned soldering irons would be better on the inside. There we go. Nearly there. So I think we're about there. One last little get hot. One last little bit down here. And we're done. Cool. Put that up. Away. Hot. Still held in by the little blobs of solder. Quite big blobs in that case. There's my scalpel. Yeah, you're right, Daryl, of course. Yeah, the kind that they use for putting stained glass together. It's a good idea. Sort of with a big tip on, like the old-fashioned ones that used to heat up. You know, the big copper tip, that would work well. Absolutely right. There we go. Our glass is out. Try not to break that before it. Find somewhere safe-ish to put it. In the drawer. And now we've got this slightly messy glass there. Brush. Slightly messy situation down here where there is an additional bit already soldered in, which I want to get rid of. So I'm going to just continue to clean that up a little bit. What do you think as the flame's hot? The flame is hot. I've every week. It's funny, it's one of those things, isn't it? For me, some things you kind of learn through experience. I'm sure it's on a Simpsons film where Homer is soldering and he just keeps touching a thing and never seems to learn. I'm afraid that's how it is with me. Some things are I remember, and things like this, just keep doing it. I suppose it's because being slightly out of my comfort zone with doing this kind of thing. Flux is burning, old flux. Yeah, loads of manky solder coming off here. So this will be much, there we go. Much neater once it's all cleaned up. Already looking a lot better. There we go. So very, actually, satisfying. I'll just go around and do a bit more on the other bits now the glass is out of the way. Yeah, I should go downstairs and get my gloves, but hey ho. Yeah, I've never, when I used to work at the college, there were short courses on stained glass making, and I always fancied having a go at that. It looks really satisfying. And I think, well, I know, in fact, here in York is some kind of national stained glass conservation centre, because I think we've got the largest collection of medieval stained glass in the country or in the world or something like that. So pretty amazing collection. Right, there we go. bit of a mess. So that's great. Two things moderately successful. And the nice thing here is the inside of the bezel is already, get rid of those now. The inside of the bezel is already tinned. So when we put our hinge on like that, comme ça, we can just solder that on. I'll do the way around like that even. We can just solder that on and it should be pretty neat. The bezel's already been cut away and the other bit's been cut away. So it's had a bit of a life as these things tend to have, but nevertheless, I think we can tidy it up and make it strong and importantly, just get the thing finished. So for this side of it, which side was I going to put on? Probably doesn't matter. In order, if you remember last week, there was this big blob of solder on it, which was kind of okay. But I don't want to start putting all that solder on there again. I want to do it a bit neater, but I do want to reinforce the joint because this metal is so thin. So what I'm going to do, and this may be overkill, overthinking it, whatever, is I'm going to put a bit of brass in there. And you can see, I found a bit of brass. I remember the project that this was from. It's a bit of cast brass, although it's quite a pinky color. Anyway, I'm going to saw that off and then solder that in there. And then that is going to give us a nice little kind of reinforcing block to make the thing strong, I hope. So that way around. I've been filing, been using, actually speaking of John, big old file that I got from John. He got these from some of you, those of you that live in England, or if you're interested in old cars, you will know about a thing called the Bewley Motor Museum or something down on the south coast. Anyway, there's an auction, a kind of mart of old car engines and parts and stuff like that. I went through a bit of solder, Del. I'm just going to solder it all together, which will be a little bit of a lash up. No, it won't. It'll be strong. So anyway, John got those big old files from the Bewley Motor Auction. So this bit of brass, I've just been filing it roughly. It's still a bit wobbly, so I'm just going to get a crossing file. That's the word. So crossing file is incredibly useful. If you've not seen one, just a quick tour of them. So they're oval in section. I think the Dutch, if Franklin's still with us, they call it bird tongue because it's a section of a bird tongue. Is that right, Franklin? Anyway, so you've got two different radius, and if we find a wheel, maybe not the right one, here's a bigger one, you can see that there, if you slide it up the file, you can see there's a point with the, will it focus? Yay. You can see there, look, there's a point at the radius of the file that fits the crossing. So pretty kind of self-explanatory, and another one down there. You see people, when you're making wheels like this, using a circle, which is fine to do it, you know, a circular crossing. But on most old clocks, and of course, a bit of a generalization, the curves are actually a bit like a Bezier curve. So it's actually quite straight and then it curves around and so on. Anyway, crossing files, really useful. Yes, correct, says Franklin. Thank you. Bird tongue. When I had these Dutch students, I learned, well, I didn't learn in Dutch, but I learned a lot about the different names and things. So let's just file a bit this way. Yeah, if you don't have crossing files, they're super useful, even if you're not making new stuff, new work. Vogeltong. That sounds German. Although I wouldn't know. So this isn't going to be, this is going to be a bit cheap and cheesy, lemon squeezy, as they say, just to make a little, oops, wrong piece of metal, a little block. Oh, there we are. Thank you, Andrew. York Glaziers Trust is the oldest and largest specialist in stained glass conservation studio in Britain. One of the largest in Europe. Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, York is absolutely great for conservation. There's the Minster, of course, and they've got the masons there, actually kind of constantly rebuilding the Minster. Got the Glaziers Trust, we've got Tapestry. So yeah, it's really cool. I kind of got this fantasy idea of starting a sort of conservation quarter here. So bringing all this stuff together. Really like to do that. I think it's really kind of cool sort of thing, tourist attraction, and just I've found it a bit steep. Sort of meeting of minds in conservation, and there's a brilliant organization here. If anybody out there is ever interested in getting some training as a conservator, there's an organization called the York Consortium for Conservation, and they are really cool people, and they have a bursary scheme. So they've supported a lot of my students. Right, that's actually a pretty good fit there. Well, it will be once it's soldered in. Maybe it's a bit wide still. Just file off the corners. So yeah, it would be nice to see all these things in York brought together. Right, so that was going along there. Slightly forgotten what I was doing here. And there's some good clock collections here as well. If you ever get a chance to visit, there's, in fact, by coincidence, I've been at the former home of Terry's. Terry, you know, Terry's chocolate, famous chocolate orange. I don't know whether those things are famous the world over. Noel Terry. I'll get my book. I was up for a bit of a distraction. So I've been at a place anyway, the former home of Noel Terry. I think they were Quakers, and there's this really cool book, the Noel Terry collection. The collection's now housed in a Georgian house called Fairfax House. But if I can just find the sectional clocks, they've got a really world-class oh, that's interesting. Oh, cool. Gosh, I'm not really into my horological books, but just looking at this and going completely off repairing the bezel, just opened at this page, and I see they've got a metronome by William Pridgeon, who I think was a Hull maker. Hull's a seaport that's about 40 miles to the east of here, very close to where John Harrison, the timekeeper, longitude man, lived. But William Pridgeon's a lot bit later, not lots later, and I see that interestingly. Oh, cool! Right, okay. I should read my books. So William, so Pridgeon. There's a clock by Pridgeon at Westdean College. If any of you know Westdean College, and it's got a really sort of Chippendale type mahogany case with a pagoda top, really high quality case. But I see it's signed Pridgeon of York, not of Hull. Apprentice to William Thornton, who himself was a former apprentice of Henry Hindley, the famous York clockmaker. Well, we had a Hindley clock in. I had a Hindley clock in here and walked past his old workshop every day, basically. Anyway, any distraction from actually doing some actual work. So they've got a really incredible clocks collection. So if you're into your 17th century clocks, then Noel Terry collection, Fairfax House in York. There are other clocks in the town by Hindley. There's a Hindley turret clock at the Bar Convent. There are good clocks at the Mansion House. So yeah, we're really fortunate here to have these nice collections. Right, we'll get in here. I just need to have a closer look at this. Many distractions. Right, okay. We just need to round it off a little bit, which I'll do by hand. Make it look quite squidgy, but I'm trying to make it as wide as possible to give the give as much support as possible, but also without laboring the whole job so much that it actually takes weeks and weeks and weeks to get it, what should be like a 25-minute job, actually finished. Go, just try it again, then I'll scribe it, and yeah, oh, that's pretty neat. It's fitting up there quite, I mean, this is all bashed in anyway, might have a little go at straightening it, but that's going to be okay. So let's scribe it, and I seem to remember that my race subscribers hiding in the bottom of the drawer. Don't suppose either of them are particularly sharp. No, not particular. Anyway, it's never bothered me before. So let's just pop that on there and scribe across. Like that. There we go. And I just need to solve that off now. So be out of sight, I'm afraid, so I'll have to move over to the bigger vise. And hacksaw. Hacksaw, which is a clockmaker's friend. All right, okay. Oh yeah, Ian, I saw that there was an article somewhere, wasn't there? Where did I see that? Well, I saw it in the Icon Journal, but yeah, two of the students have just done some work on that clock. It's a handsome clock. I think it's quarter striking or something, isn't it? Over. On the floor. Well, that's a bit of a problem with having a bench that's an island bench. It does tend to wobble about a bit. But the massive advantage is that you can obviously get around the thing. Right, let's have a look. Right. Rough, but it's pleasing, as they say. So I'll obviously tidy that up a little bit, but it's actually miracle hacksawing there. It is, look how close it is to the edge. It's probably, well, it's certainly within about 1 millimeter, but it's probably about 0.5 millimeter. So more by good luck than good management, as we say. Oh, computers slip down. So I'm just going to tidy that a bit. Not that it'll be seen, but that's maybe not quite the point. and if there's enough material to grip, just tidy it up a bit. It won't take long, and then we can clean up the bezel a bit on the inside and think about soldering it in. Just find a file. Normally stand up to file, but oh, it was in the horological journal, was it? As well, yeah. Don't take the journal anymore, so I don't see it. But that's good. That's really great, and also great that they've actually told the world about it. You know, I'm a big fan of doing something to get it out there. Okay, maybe. Where are we? Fireworks. There we go. So just tidied up the ends. The middle bit doesn't matter just yet because the hinge is going to go there. Although I do just want to mark that. I might use a Sharpie pen. Sharpie. Just to have a look where it's going to actually go. Yeah, cool. That just needs a bit of tidying. Well, I want to get that off as well, the actual dial plate thing, which is a bit tricky, but yeah. Okay. So I think here my file of choice is a Barrett file because I want to be able to get into the corners. So I'll have a root about in the drawers for one. Gosh, that was quick, but blunt as well. Got 3 Barrett files, and they're nice files, but they're all pretty worn out. So a Barrett file is again incredibly useful. It's just got one cutting surface, and the back is flat. It doesn't have any teeth on it. It's angled, and then you grind away the edge to make a really sharp edge. So if you actually want to file right into a corner, Barrett file is your friend. Preferably one that's a bit sharper than this, but that preferably one's a lot sharper than this. But you can cut in nicely with it. That's the beauty of it. So normally I again stand up, but of course with using this vise, it's pinned down as well. Try it. A bit more. I imagine tomorrow night is going to be the big night for the fireworks. One time I must get around to actually finishing that little project with the files and the drawers and actually label the drawers. Speed things up a bit. A massive priority. Plan it out a bit. There, let's just try the hinge. Check that it's going to actually sit flat. It's all a bit fiddly, but correct width just needs cutting a bit deeper. Yes, thank you, Time for Clocks, for the message about that's really helpful. I suppose what I should have asked you for actually is a photograph of one that you think is probably sort of original or near original. But anyway, we're on our way now with our repair. So yeah, thank you for that. And hello, Time for Clocks. And anybody else out there who isn't in the chat. Ask the Conservator Day. So ask the Conservator. Wharf creation. It says putting the heating on anyway. And get warmed up and start filing. Right. Okay. So it's actually down to the level of the bezel. So to get the hinge any lower, I'd either have to start filing away at the bezel, which as much as it's already been filed, I don't really want to kind of add to that pain. Or let's just check it's actually gonna fit together. It wants to be a wee bit wider. Good, okay. Going to be a slightly awkward little bit to hold. Giving up now. Using the safe edge of the file. There. Actually on the surface, I don't want to cut any more off this. Just going to extend the slot a bit wider. Cut into the corners with my barrette file to make sure they're nice and sharp. you often get, even with a file like that that's got a good ground safe edge, you often get that little sort of nick in the corner which can make the work rise up. Right, fits in now. So, all good. And it's, if you can see, but it's, this part of it is pretty flush with the little slot that we've cut, so that's okay. So I'm just going to do a tiny bit more tidying there with 3 square file, if I can put my hands on one. Like I say, it's going to be completely hidden by the solder, but just so we can kind of sleep at night knowing it's done a neat job. Neat-ish job, I would say. Yeah. So again, not a very coarse file, but it's a 3 square file with one side ground completely off. So that's, again, what we want to get into the corners. So just spend a minute or two draw filing that and tidying it a bit. Good. Right, I think that's about that enough. We can think about soldering that in. There we go, little sort of reinforcing piece. I haven't actually thought the whole thing through massively. Maybe there's a gotcha. So I'm just going to get this dial off, could do with some plasticine or something. Just get some. Gosh, I think it's organised. So a bit of plasticine foam here, which is one of those closed cell nitrogen expanded foams. It's the kind of thing you see around museums and stuff, just to prevent the bezel from sitting in all that muck. Should really vacuum up, I suppose. Get the scalpel. I'm just going to lift up these tabs. 2 of the tabs that hold the dial plate on are already broken off. So I'm just going to work with my scalpel and just see if I can ease them up without breaking them. If anybody had actually been asking about ask a conservator a question in clocks, the one of the things that I tend to find that's massively different between the worlds of, say, for instance, our Facebook group that we run and this kind of event, and working on site in museums and heritage, are the kinds of materials that people use. There's a whole, as you might imagine, a whole sort of language, let's call it language set. Team Up and Clock Club's not here tonight, so get off the hook a bit talking about language, unless she's watching remotely. She might be. Just trim away some of that soft solder that's there. But yeah, it's quite interesting really that there's a whole set of materials and tools that you just never see in sort of clock repair that you find the whole time in conservation, and vice versa, of course. It's quite cool to work on site and see that. So actually, that's been quite useful. Actually, there's only one tab broken off, so I'm slightly alarmed why the others are broken off. I mean, I can see they're corroded. So there we go. So we've got a bit of corrosion around here, maybe caused by flux by the look of it, but also maybe caused by cleaning with Brasso or something. So what I'll do is, remember last week we had the isopropyl alcohol water Vulpex soap mix. So our feed frozen. No. What's happened there? As far as I can see, our feed is frozen. It was probably quite a long time ago. Why are they doing that? Live stream, copy streaming link. So it thinks it's still streaming. Oh, it says, oh, okay here. All right. Cool. Good. Oh, that's okay. It's just that my, why is that? I shouldn't worry about it too much, but I've got the YouTube thing. I can see the picture of the Terry collection catalog, but it's frozen. Okay, cool. Right. Well, if it stops, then let me know. So we've got the dial plate off. I'm not going to do anything with that other than just clean this little bit of corrosion, but I'm not going to do that today either because we did that last week. So that's actually quite nice. Put that to one side. That leaves us with our bezel. So it's got 3 tabs remaining. One of them's broken off. A little bit of corrosion again that we can clean up. So I'm just going to get some paper on here because I'm probably going to use, in order to solder this in place, I could use something like paraloid adhesive to glue it in there. The problem with that is it's really not massively strong to get this thing that I've made the correct way around. So I think the best, using the term very loosely, yeah, I could glue it in actually. That would be useful, but it would, then I've got a problem with soldering the hinge on, which does need to be soldered on. Otherwise, it isn't going to be strong enough. So I think I'll just solder it all together. I'll stick to plan A. I'll get some gloves on because the fiberglass is really kind of yucky stuff. And I'm going to actually those. Start with a bit of steel wool, and I'm going to put the extraction on because I don't want to be breathing in this stuff. Let's get some paper. Gloves on and some Barry brass tweezers. So yeah, if you're doing this, when you're using the steel wool or even worse, fiberglass pencil brush, then I would use, if you don't have extraction, but even that, I would use a face mask for the dust. Or what I'm going to do is actually get a bit of something like white spirit. So I might actually get isopropyl alcohol, just happen to have some here, just to soak the thing in, so it just keeps all the fibers together. Yeah, yeah, you're right, Del. You see corrosion the whole time. I saw it the other day somewhere and I thought you really need loads of hot soapy water when you've used flux to get it off otherwise. Just get a bit of isopropyl just to keep the fibers under control, nothing else there. Help with the cleaning a bit with some Barry brass tweezers. Bit of steel wool. Just going to clean inside the joint there. I'll start with the steel wool, and if it isn't kind of enough to get clean metal, then I'll move over to fiberglass, which I'll kind of use as a bit of a last resort. Yeah, you're right. Now we've got quite a big, oh, sorry, can't see. We've got quite a big contact area here. So we don't need masses and masses and masses, but what I do want is just to do it once and it be a really good joint. I don't want it to be, I have to go back and do it again. That would be waste of time. And also, once you've decided to kind of heat it up, I don't want to continually heat it. I want to actually get the actual thing finished before Christmas and move on to something else. We've got Dell's torsion pendulum clock to do at some point, so I don't want this thing to drag on forever. Just get the fiberglass brush out. Let's say when you're using a fiberglass pencil brush, then if you can, try and use some liquid with it to keep the fibers in place. And also, it's really quite sort of horrible thing, but it does work incredibly well. So use with caution. It's not called the scratch brush for nothing. Although this already had solder on it, so presumably somebody's already cleaned it up or refinished it or whatever we want to call it. Right, that's looking quite bright in there. Fixed. Doesn't have to be massively, massively strong, but having got this far, I don't want it to fall apart. Oh, good question, Del. What will I do with the clock when I finished it? I think I'll just keep it for teaching collection. But what I'll do with it first, and I don't think they'll want it back, is I'll offer it back to the people that gave me it. If you remember the story, I repaired a long case clock for somebody, and then they had clocks in the garage. Long story anyway. And I said, there are none of them that are really worth a whole load of money. If they wanted to sell them. But I said, and they said, oh, fine, well, do you want them? And I said, well, no, I don't want them. But then I said, well, actually, this one would be a really good clock for our live stream because I've never really done much on American clocks. So I think a bit like the pub clock, we've still got work to do on that, but that's just on hold for a bit. That's fine because it's casework and it's not my priority. I'll offer it back to the people who owned it, and I guess they'll say no, and then I'll just keep it for teaching collection because at some point I'm going to offer short courses. I mean, not short courses on repairing American clocks, by the way, obviously, but on French clocks and the Enfield and long case clocks and things. So it'll be useful to have clocks as a teaching collection, I think. But if anybody's got any better ideas of what to do with it, I'm all ears. So always with soldering, it's the preparation that's the absolute key. If you prepare well, then the soldering will work well. So that's that. Just, oops, find my little bit of metal, which should be pretty clean because I've just filed it. Yeah, hot soapy water, give it a really good scrub, lots of rinsing. Cool. Get this the right way around. Is it like that? Nope. Like that. Great. Okay, I think we're ready to go there now. So everything crossed for a successful solder. I might actually try and just solder the hinge at the same time, so we're not heating it twice, otherwise it will just fall apart. So let me just get a brush and clean up a bit. Remember to dispose of steel wool responsibly because it can set on fire, the fire hazard. Brush. And when you've cleaned up like this for soldering, you don't want to leave it a long time before you actually solder. Otherwise, it'll just tarnish and the solder won't stick. So I'm going to tin this as always. I'm going to solder both sides. But in order to do that, I now need to clean up the hinge side of things as well. God, it's confusing, that bit of metal. I always put it the wrong way around, but anyway. So that's ready to go. Just search out our hinge, and I need to decide which bit is going to go on which. So I think that's going to go like that. Yeah, that should all fit together there. Doesn't look massively neat from the inside. In fact, what I could do is I could cut this away, maybe probably do that. It won't take long, just so when somebody opens the bezel, it doesn't look quite as much like just a great big lump of brass there. I want the surface area of that so it's strong, but you don't need this stuff sticking out here. So let me just, again, get a Sharpie and think about how that's going to work. So we want that cutting away there. And we want the same thing at that side, like that. So I'll just spend a few minutes doing that because, as I said, not that it makes a massive amount of difference. In fact, it makes virtually no difference. What it does, you can turn that off now. It's a bit noisy. Yeah, is it just looks a little bit smarter. So let me think about this. I want to file that corner off. Use a piercing saw because there's quite a lot to. I think it'll file down quite quickly. Yeah, I'm going to tin it first. Yeah, definitely, always. If you can, tin both sides. It just makes your life a lot easier with things actually sticking together. There we go. So I've just filed off the corner there. I'll try and flatten that out in a minute. But it'll just mean when you look inside, it kind of looks like somebody's at least tried to make it mildly sort of attractive rather than just hacking off a big bit of metal. I've got unwilling. I need to look at my diary. I think I've got. Just have a quick look while I'm remembering. Blah blah blah. Looking like an old person now. Thursday. Oh no, I thought I had. I was away next week, but it's done on the cam. Good. Let's just file those pesky flats flat as well. Now I've got many files on the go. Again, if you get, so you can't hold the work, to get the flats, it's really useful just to hold it in your fingers. And then you get that kind of swing tool effect. Or you could use a cork block. But by filing across like that, we avoid the dreaded sort of squidginess. It's kind of slightly counterintuitive to file on the fingers, but if you want to get it absolutely flat, that's the way to do it. And you can see now those two flats are indeed flat and parallel. So when you look inside, they look quite smart. And if you wanted to, I won't muck about, otherwise we'll never get it soldered in. Cork block. Do a similar thing here. Like this. Get your file, and then you can sort of magically get the file and the work to actually sit together. Filing my finger away. It's always a good sign. It'll grow back. Nice idea. Not massively well executed. Oh well. One side looks really smart. Good. go. So that's all ready to go in. Inevitably lost the hinge, so just have to finally decide which is the side that's going to go on there. So this is not going to be seen. So I'm going to use this bit that's been cut away in the, well, it's not going to be seen when the clocks, no, it's not going to be seen at all once the bezel's assembled, is it? Whereas the other bit, just think about this, is going to go inside there. So yeah, that will be seen when the clock door is open. So we'll do it that way around. Again, on the inside of here, there is already some solder on there, but just use our fingers. We just want to file that flat, clean it up. It's not at all flat, in fact. So let's just see if we can knock that down a little bit. Get a bit flatter, then we can just steel bench block again, jeweler type bench block. Bit of soft silver there, that's dropped off now. Good. I want to file away so much of the hinge that it actually weakens it, but I do want it to be reasonably flat. So it, again, you can see how good the Barrett file is here, because it actually gets right into that corner. I mean, I wouldn't normally obviously be kind of filing away at old work, but oh yeah, that's good. Flattening it out's done a good job. Just a little bit more there. So good. Quarter of an hour. So that's gotten that ready for soldering now. It's not completely flat, but there's more than enough. I'll just bevel the edge just to make sure that it sits down. More than enough to solder on and be good repair, or so-called good repair. And then on this side, we need to prepare it first, because once it's soldered on, we'll be stuck with what we've got. So I need to do that now. That's going to go on there, like that. Not quite sure. I'm going to clamp it. I don't have any of those little soldering tweezer things. Should really get some. Anyway, pin it down somehow, and then that's going to go on there like that, and it's hopefully going to be quite neat. So actually, it'll mean heating it all, but I think that's actually the way to do it, isn't it? He said slightly rhetorically. I think if I tin it all, clamp it together, well, I don't even need to clamp it together now, because once that's held in there, then it's going to be in the right kind of place. So I need to prepare the inside of the bezel now, and make sure I get the right bit, the outside of that. So let's, again, just flatten this on this bench block. So it's that side, isn't it? That's going to glue on there. And yeah, okay, so same thing, just all right, that's interesting. There's something on this, some glue or something. Let's have a look. Why is it not? It's got bent up. Well, I don't know what happened to my stream, but it never recovered. But rather weirdly, it also says started streaming less than 1 minute ago. That's a bit weird. Who knows? Yeah, I'll continue regardless. It's going to use like electrical solder. Just gosh, I'm having all sorts of oh yeah, it's better. All sorts of computer stuff going on here. Just regular soft solder. Not going to hard solder it. Hard soldering would just be too hot and basically destroy everything. And when you've got wide surfaces like this, you can usually get away with soft soldering. Slightly alarmed that the metal is a completely different color on one side of the hinge from what it is on the other. How crazy is that? But anyway, yeah, still fine. Thank you, Del. Yeah, no idea what's happened, but anyway. Yeah, just soft solder. So let's just, again, bevel there, get the solder to run inside. Yeah, well, that's definitely down to sort of clean metal, but weirdly, it's totally different color. One half of the hinge is a different color from the other. Right, and then the last thing we've got to clean up is the inside of this, which is already pretty good because we've just taken that thing off there. So just get my scalpel, which is there, and we'll just get the hinge, and it's going to be that bit that goes on it. So in fact, we've got, sorry, you can see that bit's going to go on there. So in fact, we've got enough solder on there. We're good to go, really. We'll just tidy up the edges a little bit there where there's a bit of something. Again, the more contact area we've got, the better. So I want it to be nice and clean. Check there are no burrs. I don't think those old rivet holes from the previous repair are going to cause us any problem. They're not in our way. Oh, they might be a bit. Let's just make sure that they're deburred. Just put up the scalpel. Good. Good to go. Right, I'll clean this in the isopropyl and not handle it again. Let's just get some more of that. Flux brush. I'd use these inexpensive natural hair flux brushes, and on the basis that you could throw them away, although I don't throw them away, I wash them up and they work really well. Make a good recovery, so it's a nice idea to keep them going as long as possible. I am a Yorkshireman after all. So that's just degreased it from my greasy fingers. I'll do the same here, a bit of isopropyl. And the same here as well, inside there. And the same with our block of brass. Good. Go get the soldering board. On the go. Yes. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tin inside it. It's already kind of tinned, but I just want to do it once and make sure that it is okay. So just want to bit of brass wire to spread our flux solder about with, sorry. Flux. It's our solder, just regular electrical solder. Remember, the first rule of soldering is to double, triple check that everything is super clean, even the flux, even the solder, sorry. So I've cleaned the solder with a bit of steel wool. Don't give anything any chance to let you down. And let's see if I can find my move that out of the way somewhere. There. Spirit lamp. So little bit of flux inside there. You don't need gallons and gallons of it. Oh, thank you. That's kind. Time for clock. Sorry, it's taken. Sorry, it's put a tiny bit of flux on there. I'm belt and braces kind of guy, so I just put a bit of flux as well on my solder, and we're just going to heat that. I mean, I did somewhere, I think was it on Open Clock Club or a thing on soft soldering? And it's just really worth taking your time over it and practicing, because once you get it, so we've got quite a big old blob of solder on there, but that'll be fine. So there we are. You see that? Just flowed really nicely. So that works if you tin it. If you clean it and tin it, if you clean it properly, it works. If you don't clean it, it never goes like that. It always ends up being a bit of a pig's breakfast. So that's going to be the inside. Now here, I've got to be a little bit more careful because, of course, what I don't want to do is for it to actually solder the hinge together. So I'm going to, probably what I should do if I can find my scalpel, which I can, is actually just cut a bit of solder. Yeah, I mean, if you've not done much soft soldering, the answer is to just get some scraps of metal and practice and practice and practice. And of course, it's not that it can't go wrong with me doing it, but it's obviously better if you practice. So we've got our little hinge thing. And again, you don't want to put the solder on too early. I've got my little, it's actually quite a big bit of solder. It might be too much. Dropped it. There we go. You see it? And then quickly just spread that along. There we are. So if I do this on myself, that was successful. Now, of course, the other side will have started to tarnish now. So it might be that I need to actually clean that off again. Let's just try it. Might be pushing my luck a bit here. So again, there was a bit much on the solder front, so it's best to cut a piece off rather than so you can see it started to tarnish. Let's see if we're lucky. Wipey stick. I know we're okay. Phew. There we are. So both sides that we want of the hinge are tinned. We've done that. We've done the inside of that. We need to do the inside of this. There seems to be quite a lot of components here. I've slightly forgotten. Might solder that in one go once the block, which has gone in the isopropyl, is tinned. Now this might need a bit more heat because it's just remember which side. So we want that side to be tinned. So I might just do this with the torch. It'll speed things up a bit. So, but the same thing applies. The solder will go where you put your flux, like that, and we want it also along the bottom here. But it's basically this side that I'm interested in, around there. And we need to be able to spread it along as well. So get my solder, clean the solder off. And it seems painful at this point because you think, oh, surely it's okay if I don't clean it. And then you do a bit and you don't clean it and then it doesn't work and you wished you had. Well, it seems like many months ago now, we bought a Siebert torch for soldering, which has been stolen by fence cleaning project, which is nearly finished. So again, before Christmas, we should be able to get our Sievert torch back, which would be really great. So again, there we are. And you can see, I hope you saw that, just spread really beautifully along the, hot, along the top there. So I'm going to tin this. I'm going to tin it. Yeah, I'm going to tin it. Otherwise, I'll be a hypocrite. Then it won't work. So just going to see inside there. I've got a brass wire to wipe it along. Nice. Yeah, you can see that, but it wiped along beautifully. So yeah, the cleaning, it's clean, 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 and clean again. I hope I've put the solder on the correct side, which I appear to have done. And then we've got a bit on here. Let's get a steel wool. New bit. Running over time a little bit, but I think we're nearly there. Just have a little clean here. Like that. It's all still nice and warm. There we go. Do you repair mass-produced clocks and often practice? Yeah, the whole time. Yeah, funnily enough, this place I was at today, which is one of the sort of heritage institutions, there were two, well, they're still mass-produced clocks, aren't they? Long case clocks. And then a sort of 20th century HAC little mantle clock thing. So yeah, the whole time it didn't make any difference to me. There we go. So, gosh, well, if anything's been good today, it's been the old tinning of the solder. Been really pleased with all that. So it's interesting. Ow, still hot. Interesting question, Sam. But I just on the kind of professional side of things, I have a published price guide, and it, you know, I don't mind what I repair. It's the same price, as in it's the same kind of hourly rate, and it's the same principle. I don't change whether it's a Timex or a Tompion, and I've done both. And that's a real beautiful thing about working in the museum and heritage side of things, is that you never get anybody saying it's not worth it from a kind of, you know, you can buy these things for 50 quid. The clock I was looking at, I was just doing a survey today. So now I'm just fitting this all together. Like that, was effectively sort of worthless. And but it doesn't make any difference to them, you know. And what I'm finding actually is there are a lot of people who are sort of my generation, but have chosen rather sort of better career paths than I have in a way. And they're having mantle clocks like Smiths and all that stuff repaired that belong to their grandparents. And again, you know, the monetary value of the thing, maybe that wasn't the question, is irrelevant. They're just not interested in that. Right, so here is our absolute moment of truth. I mean, it might be that I've miscalculated this and the whole thing just kind of sticks together in some terrible sort of gloopy mess. Now I want that to be down there. So let me just get my gas torch as well. For a bit more oomph. I'm going to get the solder. So we should be able to see when the bezel's fully assembled. Should be able to see when the solder runs. Or just warm it slowly. And I'll test when the solder runs by Just adding a little bit more. There we are. There we are. Do you see it run inside? So we know our solder's molten. Let's just squidge that down. And hold it. It's going to take quite a while to cool, I'm afraid. Yep. The only thing I've got to cool it with is isopropyl alcohol. Probably not a brilliant idea, but I'll use it anyway. At least it'll evaporate quickly, I suppose. So the good thing now is if this hasn't taken, then it doesn't matter. We'll just heat it again and do it again. Just trying to get it cool enough to handle. Move that out of the way. Put that flame out so I'll burn my finger even more. So yeah, the flux has caused a bit of blackening around here, so I'll have to clean that away. It's not too bad, but it's not brilliant. Bit of cleaning to be done. Yeah, it's gotten a bit black there, which is a shame. As you said, maybe they're kind of there we go. So works. So I would say, other than the blackening around the joint, and I'm going to hope that that can clear up. I'll have a go at that in a minute once I've washed all the flux off. I think that's pretty successful. It closes, let's just zoom out a bit. So it closes nicely, nice and strong, doesn't wobble too much, which is a bit of a miracle. And we know that all those joints are well, what's the word, tinned and everything. So nice and supported there on the inside of the bezel. So yeah, shame about the discoloration, maybe too much flux and a bit too much heat with the gas torch, but there we go. It's done. I'll clean it up and we will see you next week, all being well. So thanks very much. Thanks for your question was ambiguous. Do you repair mass-produced clocks very often, Matthew, in practice? Yes, is the answer, all the time. So thanks very much, and have a great weekend. We'll be back on Saturday for our 50th and WEEP final Open Clock Club, at least for now. And if not, we'll see. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you next Thursday, where I'll have cleaned this up best I can, and then we'll be ready to get it fixed back on the case and move back towards getting that movement together. So thanks very much, and we'll see you again very soon. Bye for now.